for the thrill of it, always searching on the hand, something for the something. It's a You ever have like a song stuck in your head for 4 years and you just still don't know the words? The song is like 20 years old. I have no idea what's going on. Here's what's going on the podcast today. We're going to upset some people. This is going to bother some people. We're going to get in trouble. We're going to cause some problems. We're going to create some issues. Not on the Diddy thing. The Diddy thing is safe. We all agree. We're all on the same side on that one. Diddy is a pile of garbage. Doing the weave. Now look at me doing the weave. Diddy's a pile of garbage. Where we're going to get into some trouble is Tony Hinchcliffe versus George Lopez. We alluded to this last episode when we were discussing Tony Hinchcliffe. Now we'll bring some further evidence of the double standard of the left. And it is election 2024. We are less than a week away from all of this being over, or at least getting to the beginning of the end of the beginning of the end of it being over. I don't know. The election's a week away, and then all the post-election bullshit will start. So that's something to look forward to. But at least we'll be done with the pre-election bullshit. You know, filing away the bullshit as best as we can. You know, that's the plan. That's the episode. Always running for the. Does anybody know that song? It's a book of love. I have no idea what they're saying. No clue. It's driving me up a wall, but it's in my. I think it was like on a car commercial at some point. I don't even know. We are always running for the thrill of it. Something sit. Make your dog sit. Always searching for a leash and doggy treats and stuff and. It's a bit, and then there's like a high pitch. Doesn't matter. Let's get into P. Diddy. Turns out Diddy had as we were waiting for the big Diddy list, right? Diddy had a list of demands of what he was looking for, requirements, if you will, for girls at his freak-off sex parties. Now, if I was a woman, first of all, I'd be offended that somebody would want to traffic me. Second of all, I'd be really offended if they were concerned with my weight. I mean, I feel like if you're going to be a piece of shit, you shouldn't be all that picky. But turns out he's a picky piece of shit, right? Diddy said, well, according to this report here, a party planner who worked with Diddy said that she would carry a scale in her car. She'd have a scale in her car because no female guests could weigh more than 140 pounds going into the freak-off. That's nuts. This anonymous planner said, quote, we would do a weigh-in if necessary. This person worked for Diddy in 2004 and 2005. The girls had to be young and hot, so I always had a scale nearby in case I needed to make sure. The number was 140 pounds, but if a girl was really tall, there was a little bit of discretion involved. At Diddy's decree, there were certain other requirements. No flab, no cellulite, no overly pierced or tattooed, no short hair, and the girls had to be young and hot, according to this party planner. Even the dress code was strict. No pants, no jeans, no flat shoes. Every girl had to wear a party dress, preferably very short, just enough to cover her butt cheeks, but no longer than the mid-thigh. Cleavage must be showing, and every single one of them had to be wearing stilettos. That one, there was no exception. High heel stilettos. One thing the organizers never asked, the source said, was the girls' ages. That would be a no-no. I would have to take issue with this particular person there. If you're running a party, I mean, everybody knows you got to get that age locked up. You're serving alcohol, you're serving booze, you're part of the party planning committee. You're a party planner, you're a bartender, whatever it is, you should be getting people's ages. That's kind of important. The source said it was don't ask, don't tell at the time. I was really young myself, and I honestly thought that we were asking their age because of that we weren't asking their age because of drinking laws. I never stayed around for the freak-offs, and I had no idea that these girls were expected to have sex with people. A second source, a petite dancer who performed at Combs's 2005 VMA after party, told the New York Post that she was paid $250 to dance at the mainstream event, but was told that there was an extra $1,000 if she went to Diddy's house later for more dancing. Boy, is that not a red flag, right? I mean, that's ladies, right? We could pick up on that stuff now, but when we're young, we're stupid, right? I didn't do anything in this particular lane of stupid here, but I definitely did some things that I was like, if I look back on it now in my 40s, I was like, that was dumb. Shouldn't have done that. I was always a very cautious person too. There was a couple times where I was like, I'm going to make the wrong decision here. Just being young and stupid. Was anybody like me? I would love to hear from you if you were overly cautious in your young age, but there were times where you were just like, screw it. I know this could go wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway. I had a couple of those times. There was a couple of those times where I was like hanging out with people, and then like the worst people were going to the next bar to get even more like hammered and drunk and God knows what else. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go with those people. I remember one time, this is really stupid. And I still don't know if I was going to do it, but there was one time, I don't even remember the girl. I met a girl. We were in the city. We were on McDougal, where the Comedy Cellar is, and Cafe Wa, for people who are familiar with New York City. These are like two big famous landmarks. So we're in the Village in McDougal. I meet this girl and we're talking. Never repeat this to Cuddles, by the way. I got to whisper this one. And we were hitting it off, hanging out, having a good time, drinking, you know. And the girl goes, I'm going to get a tattoo. And I go, me too. And she's like, should we get matching tattoos? And I was like, maybe we should. And I just thought to myself, it was like, I forget what it was. It was something small. She's like, let's get a small matching tattoo. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, but it's like 1 a.m. And she's like, no, I know this tattoo place that's open like all night. And I was like, let's go. And we walked there. And in my mind, I was like, this is so stupid, but I'm going to do it. Because I was also thinking like, I'll just get it covered up or something, you know? And I think we walked all the way there. I don't think we walked right up to the place, but we walked close enough and it was closed. And I was just like, whew. I was like, oh shit. Oh man. But in my mind, it was one of those things where I'm like, this is really stupid and I'm going to do it anyway. I very rarely had those moments. There's a couple of others that I'm saving for the book, but I really, really rarely had those moments. Neil, are you an overly cautious person? Like I was never like, you know, I would always be like, let's stop drinking at 12:30 so we can make sure we get home for 2. Like there was rarely those times where it was like, fuck it, let's go to the next place and continue to get like I was never that person. You know, it was never that person. Yeah, I did dodge a bullet, but it was kind of one of those stupid, like, I don't know. You know it's stupid, but you do it anyway. I feel like that's a special kind of idiot. But yeah, could you imagine getting hired for a gig that pays $250 and then they're like, you can make $1,000 at the house? I mean, to any mature adult, you're like, well, that can't be good. To a young 20-something, right? Guy or girl, doesn't make a difference. To a young 20-something, okay. There's something about that age for most people. You know, they're like, oh, okay, I need more money. Sure, you know. So I always kept my head on a swivel, and the DD a lot of the time. Oh, the designated driver. Yeah. That was the other thing too, right? Did you ever go out without a designated driver? Like very rarely was it like, fuck it, let's all drink and we'll just figure it out later. We'll just take the train or a taxi or something, you know? Very rarely did that kind of stuff happen, but it did happen. I mean, that stuff did happen on occasion. But no, for the most part, I will say there was always like one person we were pretty good with the designated driver. Never got into a car with a drunk person. I'm not that stupid. Proud to say I never did that. I had too much shrimp cocktail once at a free fucking alcohol party. You know, when they drop like a new alcohol I went to this alcohol. It was terrible. Had too much shrimp cocktail. Nearly shit myself on the way home. Different kind of dangerous. Different kind of dangerous. Again, I led a different life. This was a different. I wish this wasn't live and I could take that story back because felt like an overshare. Anyway, the New York Post said that they have interviewed more than 24 of people that were at these raucous parties. And they also looked at video footage, which appears to be footage of Diddy's freak-offs that were tied to mainstream events such as the MTV Video Music Awards or the Super Bowl. In the videos, women who fit the description can be seen having sex with men as Combs seemingly watches in the background. We knew these videos were going to make their way all the way up to the mainstream. In one video, it appears that Diddy himself took part in the action, holding the camera from his point of view, while he appears to engage in sex with a woman. The alleged behavior is consistent with similar allegations made earlier this month. We've gone over all those allegations. Combs has repeatedly denied doing wrongdoing, but like I said, we're at the point now where these videos are literally being seen by mainstream media, and if there's been videos that have made it to them, the videos and the footage and all the hard drives and things that the authorities have confiscated from his home can't be that great. They cannot be that great. Feels like there's a real open and closed case here, but we'll have to wait and see till next year, right? April, May, whenever that thing is, that his case is. So we'll keep you up to date on the Diddy stuff. If anything else comes out, we're front and center on that, just the same way we were with Epstein. Who was it? Somebody told me, I haven't been able to verify this, but somebody told me that little raid that they did the other morning that caused a lot of, buzz around Diddy and Epstein and what we talked about it last episode. Somebody said that they do that pretty often at that prison, that's like a regular thing now, just to kind of try and catch any inconsistencies in the prison staff and lapse in coverage in certain areas like there was. So I don't know how true that is. Seems plausible when you look at all the complaints that have been racked up against that particular prison. I don't really know. I guess we'll find out if they do it again, because now that Diddy is there, people have got their eye on that little location. All right, let's get to the latest thing that's got your old pal Ann in a little bit of hot water. Tony Hinchcliffe Sunday night goes on stage at the Trump rally and makes a joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage. See, even the way I'm saying it makes it sound way worse than it actually was. His setup was a misdirection joke. Again, if you know comedy and jokes, you lead people down one way and then it's a misdirection. You shoot them over the other way, and that surprise makes you laugh. And the joke, I believe, was I saw a floating pile of garbage in the water, and I think it's called Puerto Rico. I think that's what he said. And people lost their minds, and there was backlash for it. I mean, so much so that I've seen Trump had to distance himself from it 2 or 3 times in interviews. And it has actually grown into something. I saw a clip of Jake Tapper, and I think it was Jake Tapper, somebody on CNN, and they were doing their regular talking head segment, right? So really no news going on. They're just trying to create stuff. I believe it was Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper says to his talking head guest, like, is this really a controversy, or are the Democrats trying to make it a controversy? And even him just asking that question, I felt so vindicated, because I'm like, exactly. Like, is this really a comedian making an inappropriate joke at a venue? Is that really a controversy, or are they trying to make it a controversy? Because again, when you go back to it, my real problem with all of this was how the Kamala Harris and a bunch of people, or Kamala Harris's campaign and a bunch of people, started saying Trump rally speaker. And I thought that label was unfair, because I think they were trying to tie Trump into this whole thing. And I wouldn't do that for several reasons. One, you don't need to. Right? If you go up and down the list of all the other speakers that night, they all said some pretty horrible shit that you could take issue with. And I have no issue with any of that stuff. I mean, anytime Tucker Carlson walks into a room and opens his mouth and does that stupid fucking laugh, I'm instantly offended as a human being. I go, that can't be the same. I wish just the fucking little spinning disc would come down, a little light would shine, he would, go float up, and it would just disappear. And I go, oh, thank God, he's off he went back to his homeland or home planet, wherever. Tucker's gone. Finally, they came back to get there, lost, confused. I don't know when to laugh, and I don't know how to behave or talk or discuss anything or be a decent human being or not wear a bow tie, piece of shit child. I would be so pleased with that. So you could be offended by Tucker Carlson and what he said, because he said some shitty, stupid stuff. He called Kamala Malaysian, or I don't know, whatever. He knows what nationality she is, and blatantly disregarded that, playing off of previous, shitty things that Trump has said. Great. Have a problem with that. That's a speaker. Tucker Carlson is a Trump campaign speaker, right? The fucking My Pillow guy, Rudy Giuliani. These are Trump campaign speakers. To label a comedian is a stretch. I always say, when you got him on something, get him. Trump saying, I'm going to take on the enemy within, and then saying the enemy within is Pelosi and Adam Schiff, go nuts. He should be called out for shit like that. That's bad shit to say. That's not comforting, American, defending the constitutional type of stuff to say. You know what I mean? I have no problem with that. But when you it's a comedian. He's up there making by the way, Tony Hinchcliffe is not nobody. I realize he's new to the scene. I mean, he's probably been doing comedy for 20 years, but he's newly popular. He just sold out Madison Square Garden himself doing his podcast or show, whatever you want to call it. They did a couple of nights there. They had huge guests. By the way, he had the Trump impersonator and the Biden impersonator, and he was making fun of both of them. The guy's an insult comic. He's a roast comic, whatever you want to say. That's his lane. To pretend like he was somebody else doing something wrong to tie it back to Trump, I thought was wrong. I thought it would come back to blow up in the face of the Democrats, and perhaps it has. Perhaps it has. Because on top of the fact that then President Biden made a comment about his followers being garbage, which he then clarified and said he didn't mean that way, just the garbage rhetoric or whatever the fuck Biden said. He's got a stutter, and he was stuttering his way. He's confused, and I don't even know what he was trying to say. I could even let that go. Fine, whatever. If you didn't mean it, you clarified it, and whatever. If you want to not believe Biden, his clarification, I'm fine with that too. I don't give a shit. Believe whatever you want to believe. But it came back to Biden. So then it bit Kamala in the ass, because now Biden says this, and instead of Kamala having her moment at the Ellipse at the January 6th location and having that go slam home to be her final statement, now she's in there defending Biden and talking and clearing that whole thing up. So it did come back to bite her in the ass a little bit, just as I said it was going to. Just as I said, they tried to manufacture something, and it came back to bite them in the ass. Now, listen, will it benefit them in the long run? Will it offend enough Puerto Rican people, especially in Pennsylvania? People, that was the number one thing. Right away, people were like, well, let's take a look at our map and see how many Puerto Rican people live in Pennsylvania, so we can okay, maybe it would work. If we go look at the polls and we find out that a large percentage of Puerto Ricans living in Pennsylvania voted for her, and she won the state and thus the election, then I will come out here and do what is that called? A mea culpa? Is that? I don't know what I'm agreeing to. I don't know if that's a kind of cappuccino or an apology. I forget. I think it's an apology. But I'll come up here and apologize. I will say sorry if it works for her. In the short term, it blew up in her face. But here's the more important thing that I want to discuss and that I want to go over with everybody, because people brought up the George Lopez thing pretty quickly the other day, and we didn't have the clip of it at the time, but we have the clip now. So this was George Lopez in Arizona, I believe on the same day, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this was like Sunday or maybe Monday in the afternoon. It was close to the time Hinchcliffe said what he had to say. George Lopez was speaking at a rally in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a Kamala Harris rally, and this is what he had to say. Take a listen.
Enough lies. Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall And George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight, he also said that he was going to get Mexico to pay for the wall. I wish you would have asked me. We can't even really split a check at a restaurant, but you know, it sounded nice at the time.
Okay. Thank you, Forbes, for the clip. Okay. Now, somebody will have to explain to me what the difference is between those two jokes, because in both instances, we're making fun of a group of people, an ethnicity, right? Why was George Lopez just so let off the hook and they want to label Tony Hinchcliffe as a Nazi? Why? Somebody explain this to me. And for everybody who was on their high horse the other day, and I'm talking about my best buddy, Frankie C. I'm talking about Frankie C here. Explain this to me, because I'll tell you what I will not accept. Well, George Lopez is of Mexican descent. No, I will not accept that. Don't give me well, that's his race and he can make fun of his own race, but you can't make fun of other races. No, I don't want to hear that. I want every comic to be able to make fun of anybody they want. And let's be honest here. Let's be really honest with each other. If you want to make that a thing, do you really want black people to stop making fun of white people? Because I don't. I definitely do not. That's some of the fucking funniest shit ever. When a black person is on stage and they do the nerdy white foot, I fucking cackle every time. There is nothing funnier than black people making fun of white people. I love that shit. I love it. George Lopez, by the way, makes fun of white people later on in this very speech, and I was laughing my ass off. By the way, I know this is weird, and this is really stupid and dumb to bring up now, but I never felt like a white person. I always looked at myself as an Italian American. I know I've said this before, but when they made fun of nerdy white people, I always laughed at that because I was like, that's not me. It kind of is me. But I never really identified like that. I never thought that somebody of English descent or Irish, descent or any part of Norway, whatever, other Caucasian places was the same as me. Again, I was the kid showing up at school pulling out a chicken cutlet and roasted peppers sandwich. Okay, do you know how bad that stinks after being out of the fridge for 4 hours? You ever smell roasted peppers? In June when they've been under the fridge for a while? Okay, the Norwegian kids in my school didn't have shit like that. Neither did the English kids. They're over there with fucking, I don't know what English people eat. English muffins. They're over there with the fucking Thomases with beautiful butter on it, and I'm pulling out a fucking provolone and chicken cutlet fried pepper sandwich. Roasted peppers. I never felt like that. So I don't accept they're not, he could do it and the other one can't do it. Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. This, I'm sorry to say, is a double standard. Nobody blinked an eye at this, but every left-leaning liberal person screamed at me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, called me a Nazi, called me a Trump lover, called me a racist, just for pointing out the fact that that's a comedian and comedians should have leeway to make jokes. I think Frank said, well, once you put him in a rally, he's at a rally. Should we cancel him? Should we get him in trouble? Should we make Kamala apologize to Mexican people because of what he said? No. The same way we shouldn't do it with Tony Hinchcliffe. You put a comic up there, you're going to get jokes. They're not always going to land. You put a musician up there, they're going to sing songs. Sometimes songs offend people. I don't know about you, but I'm offended every time Nickelback takes the stage. And I think to myself every time, I don't know what's worse, Nickelback or Tucker. And then I come to my senses and I go, no, Tucker is far worse. Tucker is way worse. I saw a clip of Tucker talking at Madison Square Garden. He laughs. I couldn't face me. Oh my God. I've never wanted to throw a brick in somebody's face so bad in my life. He has the worst, stupid fucking face. I don't know how anybody has sex with him. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. He's married, right? I don't know how anybody goes, I want to fornicate with that. I don't get it. I don't get it. Somebody's going to have to explain it to me. It's so annoying. His laugh is so annoying. And I love Robin's point here. It's not just any rally ant. I get that. That's fine. But like I told Frank, that that's still a, you can, it's the positioning of Tony. Like it's the way it's a dishonest way of doing it that I don't think that the Democrats needed to do, that I think could be a problem for them more than it is a good thing. And like I said, if I'm wrong about that, I will apologize. But I just felt like to call him a speaker, you should have been like, I would have been okay. By the way, I would have been okay with this if Kamala's campaign was like, oh, comedian makes insensitive joke at Trump rally. Okay, fine. No problem. I wouldn't have said shit because that you're properly labeling somebody. But you can't tell me that somebody on the social media team doesn't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is. He's one of the biggest internet personalities going. I understand if you're like 34 or if you're like me, you're 42 and you don't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is. That's fine. But there's no way you're like in your 20s or 30s and don't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is. You know, speaker at Trump rally. That's what I didn't like about it. It was dishonest. It was her campaign doing something dishonest. And he does plenty of that for both campaigns. So don't jump into that water. That's my opinion. You know? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Poor TD Freelancer jumped in to try and come to my aid. And she caught some, what do they call that? Stray fire. What do they call it? Stray bullets or whatever. She caught some shrapnel. Poor TD. I appreciate that, TD. Thank you. Yeah, I saw that. You got some nasty comments too. I mean, I don't think anybody told you to fuck a pie, but that's okay. You shouldn't be spoken to like that at all. For me, I deserve some of it. But yeah, that was friendly fire. Thank you, Fly and Y. Friendly fire. Poor TD. This one guy said such a nasty thing, and I go, I didn't say anything to him. Why is he still piling up? And then I opened up my notifications and I saw TD was trying to come to my aid, and this guy was piling on, or girl, I forget who I don't even know who it was. This person was piling on her, and I was like, oh my God, poor thing. Poor thing. It's tough. It's tough being on that internet, man. It's tough. Somebody this morning called me a Trump piece of shit, and I just was like, if this person only knew how much shit I gave that orange man, they would never be saying this. But people are just so quick. They're so on their high horse. You know, they just so want to pass judgment. It's like, look, here it is. Sorry, I mirrored. Here it is. George Lopez is doing it too. Nobody got offended. Nobody got annoyed. People laughed. You know, there was definitely looks like a brighter, there's a lot of people smiling in the back of George Lopez right now. So it felt like a brighter, shinier thing. Anyway, fast forward to today as we, transition into the election talk here. Transition to today and fucking Trump, because now he's playing on the Biden. Do you want to hear the Biden clip? I do have it. I don't know. It was like, I listened to it before. It was like pretty garbled. It was kind of hard to keep up with the whole thing. Let me bring this up for you guys. Always an assumption answer. It's fucking loud. Can you guys hear that ad playing in the background? God forbid we don't have an ad in front of everything. It's a people. Does anybody know that song? Am I just fucking crazy? All right, here's Big Joe Biden talking about the garbage people.
To supporters.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
I'm pretty sure he said the only garbage I see is out there is floating out there is your supporters. That's what I heard. He later clarified it in a tweet. He said, earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think to describe it. That's all I meant to say. So I don't kind of felt like he called them garbage. Anyway, Trump's out there today, fucking orange vest, as if he needs more orange, jumping in a garbage truck, taking reporters' questions. Donald Trump will go down in the Internet Troll Hall of Fame. He just will. He is mastering being a troll. And what's weird is you never thought you would see a presidential election with a troll in it. You never thought you would see trolling being done by a presidential candidate. But here we are. This is the state that we're in. And the media was out there eating this up. They're snapping pictures, they're all over it. He's in the fucking he barely got into the truck. I thought he was going to fucking eat it. At 1 second, he kind of slipped a little. I was like, holy shit, this would be bad. This would be bad if he goes down. But he got in the truck and the whole gaggle was there of reporters and they were firing away questions. And he's like, yeah, if we're trash, whatever. He's like, we're sticking together. The guy knows how to turn an insult. The McDonald's bit kind of worked for him. This garbage truck bit today kind of worked for him. I don't know if it's going to make a difference in the election, but went over pretty well from what I can see and from what I could tell. People were, like I said, the media was all over it. They were all over the Trump thing. And it's a hell of a visual. It's a hell of a visual because he got the Trump campaign thing on the side of the garbage truck. Like, he fucking went for it. It wasn't just some bullshit fly by night little fucking thing. Like, he fucking set it up. He set it up. Michelob Ultra. Look, or watch this. He almost, did you see that? He almost missed had a little too much to drink there. A little too many McDonald's Diet Cokes. Can I go back? Here, watch this. 1, 2, whoop. Almost. Little drunky drunk. Whoops, I am 78. But look, he had the garbage truck painted. Oh, that looks like a decal, but still. He got up in there.
All right, guys, full camera. Right here, keep commenting. Nice.
President Trump, you said the other day that hard or the military could be used on election day. Can you be more specific about what that would look like?
Any questions?
Sir, RFK Jr. said that you promised to control the public health agencies if you were to win. Is that accurate?
I can't. You have to speak loud.
Sir, RFK Jr. said that you promised to control the public
Fucking
health
got the little
agencies if
vest
you were to
on
win.
and everything.
Is that accurate?
Well, we'll work with him, and he's a very talented guy. He wants women's health. He wants health for people, and we're going to work with him.
Oh, I like this. Miss Justice. See, now I want to see Kamala in a fucking truck tomorrow with a dumb Trump thing on it. I think you just came up with something great there. That's pretty good. Did you just come up with that, or did you see that somewhere? As if you just come up with that, good news. I have a job for you, writing for a podcast that's that's suffering from bad humor, because that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Debbie's on our side. Debbie's on Trumpy's side there. True New Yorker. What did you expect for him to take that Biden? It's good to see Deb. It's good to see you. Deb's been around for a long time. Loves Trump. Of course, everybody is welcome here. Miss Justice. No, I'm clever. You take a bow. You take a bow, young lady. That was pretty good. Dumb Trump. It was the timing of it. It came in pretty. Yeah. See, even TD likes it. Careful, TD. You never know when somebody's going to snap on you, though. You caught enough bullshit on the internet these days. Yeah. So, I mean, what's amazing about this is he's taken internet trolling to a physical, real world level. Like, there was a conversation where, and I've been in the room when these conversations happen, where it's like, what we should do? We should go in a garbage truck, do a press conference from a garbage truck. And then somebody else goes, No, wait. That's good. You know how many times I've made a joke in a room and somebody's been like, no, wait, we should do that. That's exactly how this happened. And then somebody else was like, maybe I could get a fucking, should we get an orange vest? Yeah, we got to get the fucking vest. We'll do the whole fucking thing. I mean, if it were me, I would have been like, hey, maybe we should get a green vest so we don't just blow out people's orange, their orange hue on their televisions and fuck up their TV sets. That's me. I'm overly thoughtful. I would have went for the green vest, but they did the orange and, they pulled it off. They did it. That's what an election is. Can I grab this news cycle? That's why I was annoyed with Kamala for doing the Hinchcliffe thing in the first place. And that's what I said the other day. I think I told Frank this. I think Trump is controlling the game right now. He's controlling the clock. It feels like he says nutty shit. He does crazy things. He's fucking getting into dump trucks now. He's holding rallies in Madison Square Garden where he shouldn't be. He should be in fucking Pennsylvania trying to win the friggin' state. He should be in Wisconsin. He should be in Michigan. He should be in one of the swing states trying to win. He goes to Madison Square Garden. Okay. But he's doing all this crazy nonsensical stuff and she's reacting to him. And again, she's doing more than that, but the media doesn't seem to give a shit because it's like, he did something fucking crazy. What's Kamala think about it? That would be him running the clock. That's him controlling the ball. You can't score a touchdown if your defense is on the field a majority of the time, So I got to give it to Trump for this one. It's a fucking creative thing, and his people are going to eat it up. And the people that are like, I'm kind of sick of liberals and their double standard bullshit, those kind of people are going to eat this shit up, Shit like this could wind up costing the election. Again, I repeat, if it turns out that the Puerto Rican population in Pennsylvania turns out for Kamala in a big way, then okay. But again, referring back to that CNN segment that I caught a clip of, they were like, the other people on the panel were like, it's not a big deal, but I heard two Puerto Rican people that said they were switching their vote just because of this. And it's like, 2 people? Yeah, that is not, you were correct. That is not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. We'll have to wait and see if this thing is really going to have any sort of impact. The Hinchcliffe thing, the Biden calling them garbage thing, we all got to wait and see what happens. I still don't know what to think of this Washington Post not endorsing a candidate. They came out and said that they weren't going to do it. And right away, because the Washington Post is, I think there's 3 papers now, but let's talk about the Washington Post. That's owned by Jeff Bezos, the guy who owns Amazon. And as soon as they said, the Post said that they weren't going to endorse a candidate, the story started floating out there that Bezos was worried that if Trump wins, he would retaliate against the Post or Amazon, that he would retaliate against his businesses. And so they were saying that it was Bezos who held it back. Well, I don't know how true that is, but we did find out that it was Bezos who held it back and that the editorial board was ready to go with an endorsement of Kamala Harris. And then Bezos wrote an op-ed himself that they put out in the Washington Post. And he basically said that the era of newspapers endorsing a candidate and it having an impact was over. Kind of saying like, hey, we're realizing here that if we're not fair in our reporting and that if we're so one-sided, it's not going to really make a difference. And that's why he is saying he's not endorsing anybody this year. Which, listen, I was born of traditional media, right? I got years and years experience on radio, over 15 years on radio. More than that when you go back to college radio and everything else. But I spent a long time in traditional media, and traditional media is suffering and dying. There's no doubt about that, right? I was just talking to some radio friends the other day, and there was another round of layoffs just everywhere, right? There's less and less people on radio stations. They can't make money. Radio stations back in the day were selling for 50 million, 75 million, 100 million. Now, literally anybody could own a radio station. Like, there's no, like, radio stations that are huge, big reach, massive signals. They're selling for like $10 million, something that would have went years ago. I know those stations that I was on sold for a ridiculous amount of money, and then they tried to get resold again, and literally nobody would buy them. There's a bunch of stations that literally just went dark because nobody would buy them. So it was cheaper just to turn them off than to keep running them at a loss. So, and the newspapers and the magazines and television itself is not immune to this. Everybody is streaming instead of watching over the air or cable or anything like that. It is sad, Lindarella. It is sad, but it's the reality of the world. But listen, the thing is radio as an idea, as a medium, is not dead. It's just podcasting now. You had to be agile and flexible and go with the times. The delivery method is different. The basis of it is still a connection. It's still a conversation. It's still talking, and the radio people ruin that, newspaper people, I can't speak for them. I wasn't in those industries, but, nobody was stopping the newspapers from having killer websites and great blogs and, amazing, Twitter threads and all that stuff. Like, they could still deliver their product just a different way, and they've adjusted to it poorly. So there's some truth to the fact that this medium is dying, and there is some truth to the fact that mainstream media in general is at its least impactful than it ever has been, which is the truth across the board. People are more apt to listen to an influencer or somebody that they like on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter or wherever than they are the 5 o'clock news person. So there is some truth to that. There is. However, I do feel that Bezos is wrong because, and again, I go back to my J Sabs as an example of this. J Sabs has got a full life. She does this podcast. She does the Star Legacy stuff, which, by the way, this is the last show of October. And we've been raising money for the Star Legacy Foundation all month long. Stillbirth awareness. We're trying to raise some awareness about that. J Sabs lost her first baby, Diana Hope, 7 years ago, going on 7 years ago or so. And ever since, she's been raising money. She's raised a lot of money. She's raised a lot of money, the most money we've ever seen raised for a cause like this. I remember when she told me how much she wanted to raise, I said, wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to raise. Anyway, she's raising that money. We're doing a walk this weekend here in New York, and we got a link in the description. If you could donate anything at all, would be helpful. I know there was a bunch of donations that ran in that came rolling in last episode. She was so moved by that. So again, if you could donate anything, or if you have already donated, thank you. It means the world to all of us. And it's a wonderful thing to be a part of that community and support everybody and give money to science so they can do the research, so that they can educate doctors better, so that they can do better tests, so that we can see less infant deaths. 21,000 stillborn births in this country today seems nuts to me. Look at our mods just all over it. Miss Justice and Robin, you guys are the best in the business. If you can donate, please do so. It means the world to us. But anyway, I go back to my J Sam's example of, she's doing Star Legacy. I love the two. Look at this. I love the two of you. I really, really do. She's doing Star Legacy. She works at the school. She's raising 2 kids. She's got a husband, so technically 3 kids. She's doing all the things. She doesn't have time to read. She doesn't have time to watch a full hour of the news. She doesn't have time with all this, with the way things are going today. These candidates are flying around the country. There's, 14 things they're doing in a day that can make, she doesn't have time for all of that. Most people do not have time for all of this. And most people rely on somebody to give them a summary of the information. It's kind of what we do here. A lot of you guys rely on us to give you that information, and I take pride in giving you that information as accurately as I possibly can. Maybe it's another podcaster for people. Maybe it's a blogger. Maybe it is just the 5 minutes they get to catch the news at 7 o'clock, at night. Maybe it is the newspaper in their town. I still think these things have an impact. I still think, the tradition of a paper endorsing somebody is important. I do think that's important, especially when you have an editorial board that's ready to roll. I mean, usually the owners don't get involved, and they shouldn't be involved. It should be up to the editorial board. If this is what they want to write about and what they want to do, they should be left to do it. Whether they were endorsing Trump or Kamala, I'd feel the same way. They should be left to do it, because there's still probably a few thousand people maybe that they'll have an impact on, that somebody will be like, you know what, I always liked that paper. They never steered me wrong. I voted for all the people they voted for in the past. They told me to. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to vote this way. I think it still makes an impact. It makes a difference. And I would have still done it. I disagree with Bezos on this one. Again, is it as big of an impact as it used to be? No. Does he have a little bit of a point there? Yeah, he does. I think he does. But this whole hey, we got to be accurate. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but we're failing. We got to be better. Most people believe the media is biased, so we got to come on. First of all, pick a North Star and go with it. I'm not sitting here about the podcast going, well, I do say every day we could be better. That's be funnier. That's for fuck sure. But no, I'm here to tell you my thoughts, my feelings. I'm here to hear your thoughts and your feelings. We're here to exchange those ideas. That's our North Star. I'm never going to apologize for that. Right? We're here to entertain and inform, and in that order. That's our North Star. So I'll never apologize for that. And if Bezos feels bad about what he's been doing, hey, make a move on it. Doing it now is a little auspicious. It is a little strange to be doing it right now and in this moment. So I thought it was strange. I thought it was, and I also think, listen, even if I'm sitting there as Bezos and I agree with him and I want to do it and I go, yeah. And you know what? Doing it now would have the most impact. I would have still opted not to do it because of this idea that Donald Trump has been threatening to take away CBS's broadcast license, right? He's been making all these threats to, lash out at the people that he doesn't like. He didn't like how CBS edited the Kamala interview. So he thought that 60 Minutes should lose, 60 Minutes and CBS should lose their license. He's made 2 or 3 other threats like that. And it's like, to make this move now, it looks cowardice on your part. So even if I wanted to do it, and even if I wanted to do it now to have a big impact, I still wouldn't have done it. It's like when you're I don't know if you were like this too, but this was definitely me. I'd walk into my room as a child and I'd be like, holy shit, this is a fucking pigsty. I got to clean this up. I can't even stand to look at this. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to go get a soda and clean it up. And then inevitably my mother would walk by and she'd be like, clean up this fucking room, And then I'd be like, oh, fuck, now I don't want to do it. It was something I wanted to do 4 minutes ago. But now because you're yelling at me, telling me to do it, now I don't want to do it. I don't know if that's an Italian thing, New York thing, an Anthony thing. I don't know. But I do believe it's a people thing. I do believe people don't want to be told what to do, even if it's something that they themselves did want to do. So even based off of that fact, if I was Bezos, I would have been like, you know what, I was going to do this, but I'm not going to do it now because I don't want him thinking, he's got some kind of power over me. Last thing I want to talk about, and this just happened I think it was this, let me see if this was, oh no, this was Sunday. An ABC affiliate in Pennsylvania was showing a Formula One race of some sorts. And they flashed up on the screen an election night thing, like Harris and Trump, and showing the amount of votes and everything like that. This thing flashes up on the screen, so people are obviously watching this. They're in northern Pennsylvania, and they see it, and it's got Harris with a check mark, next to her name, with 52% of the vote, getting 3.2 million votes over Trump's 2.9 million votes. 100% of the precincts reporting. This came from WNEP, which is an ABC affiliate. WNEP 16 in some part of fucking Pennsylvania. And people are losing their fucking minds. They are losing their shit. They're like, look at this. It's fixed. Look, they're already flashing the winner. They're fucking, it's all this shit. And I'm just like, dude, I fucking love Lindarella too. No parts of Pennsylvania are important, so don't worry. Truth. That's truth. I'm going to go as far as to say even some of the parts of New York that touch Pennsylvania, those parts of New York are not important. I don't know where they're all the way the fuck up there, Lake Erie. I don't even know what's going on up there. It ain't New York. I go, that's extra Pennsylvania. I go, we took that from Pennsylvania at some point because they can't handle their shit. But I call that part. Some people say it's Western New York. I say it's Pennsylvania, New York. I say we don't go near there. We just don't. Like that part in your garage, it's like a little dirty. There might be a bat over there or a rat or something. You're like, we're not going to go to that part of the garage. That's the part of New York that touches Pennsylvania. We don't go there. That's not. Anybody brings that up, we go, I don't, is that Jersey? I don't even know what that is. I'm not even sure. I think it's Canada. I don't think that can't be New York. That just can't be New York. So anyway, it's this, and first of all, I worked in local media. If I had to guess what this is, they were probably testing some shit out, getting their stuff ready for that night, and some idiot hit the wrong button and put it on the air instead of keeping it in the preview screen where it should have been. By the way, a ton more people vote in Pennsylvania than 5 million people that this adds up to. 6 million people. A lot more people than that vote in Pennsylvania. So none of this makes any sort of sense whatsoever. But you cannot tell the Trump fans that at this point because they are losing their shit over how the election is rigged already and it's fixed. And this was a leak of the most extraordinary kind. I'm telling you, it's some dude named Phil who does not get paid nearly, and it probably makes minimum wage. And he hit the wrong fucking button and put it on the air. I actually think some of these stations are doing this for publicity because I feel like this happened once before, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago maybe. And I also feel like this happened during a football game because, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't we talk about this around the time where everybody was losing their shit about how the NFL season is completely scripted? And somebody flashed like a score of a game up on the screen, or was it the Super Bowl? They flashed like a Super Bowl score up on the screen, and everybody again lost their shit. There is an unquenchable thirst for conspiracy theories in this country at this point. I mean, nothing can occur without there just being like an absolute eruption on the conspiracy theory people, Can we take Trump off the screen? I did not even realize that was still there. I did not even realize that was still. It was kind of like our little elf on the shelf. It's, Trump in a dump truck. What did she say? See, I tried to do the Miss Justice thing and I fucked it up completely. I absolutely screwed that up. I'd like to issue an apology to Miss Justice and the comedy portion of today's episode for screwing up that joke royally. I apologize. Debbie with a good point there, burning the ballot boxes. How crazy was that story too? That happened at a couple of locations too. I was surprised. The ballot box thing weirds me out. I don't mind a ballot box. I want you to hand it to somebody. I feel like the ballot box should be in a voting location. These ballot boxes are just like mailboxes on the side of the road, 3 states, there were ballot box fires. And I think one of them, they got completely under control. There was nothing lost, but the other 2, I think, one of them had 475 damaged ballots. That stinks. How do you pull that back? Do we know if these were in Democratic or Republican leaning states. Let's see here. FBI investigating with local police after ballot box arsons in Vancouver. That's in Canada. So election's fixed. Washington and Portland, Oregon. Officials in Southwest Washington State have retrieved 475 damaged ballots from the ballot box that was damaged in a fire sparked by incendiary devices, an act of arson. The local police and the FBI are investigating the damaged ballots, which are separate from an unknown number that were destroyed, are being searched through so that workers can contact the respective voters about getting a new ballot. Clark County Auditor Greg Kimsey said. He said officials believe that the damaged ballots are in good enough condition to determine the appropriate voter information. Well, that'll be a controversy in a week. By the way, with Vancouver, Washington. And they damaged 3 ballot boxes at another box in Portland, Oregon on Monday in what Kimsey called a direct attack on democracy. I'm assuming in Oregon these are Democratic areas, though. Unless Oregon is turned into a fucking red state. Fire guy. Ryan started the fire. Fucking hilarious, Robin. Look, Mountaintop's got it. Office, people. Gotta watch The Office if you didn't get that one. Ryan started the fire. All right, so I mean, if this is in a Democratic area, I'm going to assume that this was a Republican type of a person doing this. Unless it was just a nut-bar Democrat. I don't know. Kimsey told reporters Tuesday that voters who dropped off their ballots in the transit center box after 11 a.m. Saturday should contact his office for a replacement ballot and strongly encourage voters to check the status of their ballot at vote.wa.gov. I didn't know you could check the status of your ballot. That's amazing. Clark County election office employees will also observe ballot boxes 24 hours a day, 7 days. Yeah, you got to figure. Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't a camera on this thing. There's fucking cameras everywhere. Again, remember when we found what's her name's Brian? What's his name? We found the van randomly with some YouTuber. Do you remember that? That whole fucking Gabby Petito's van. Shit, so everything is on camera these days. I'm surprised I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time until they come across whoever did this. But that's really bad. Those are one of those moments where you're like, well, that's a shame. But again, here's the thing. I mean, if you're talking about a state where one of the candidates is going to win by, 75,000 votes, 400 votes are not going to make a difference, Deb says, in-person day of the election is the best way to count votes. Yeah. Might have cost the Republicans the election last time around, though, so they might want to think twice about that. I feel like every day I should schedule a press conference and issue apology. I mean, I do to my wife. Every day my wife and I have a little press conference and I apologize to her for something. So I screwed up something that day, that's for sure. Yeah, that weirds me out, though, the burning of the ballot boxes. Like, things are getting crazy. Like, people just vote. Oh, here's the other thing I want to talk about. All right, this is the last thing, I promise. I saw this is weird how this happens. You ever hear of something that you never heard of before and then you can't stop seeing it anywhere? That happened to me with this well, it doesn't even matter. But I was reading this piece about somebody wrote this op-ed somewhere and they were talking about conservative women or women who are married to conservative men. And the whole article was about how, I don't know if there's a theory or there's polling numbers or I forget what it was, but it was like this whole thing about how women who are married to conservative men who have traditionally voted conservative and Republican, who feel betrayed by the Roe v. Wade thing, are going to the ballot. Everybody's under the impression they're going to vote for Trump and they're going to vote right. But that they're just not speaking up on women's rights, and they're going to go in and they're going to vote for Kamala. And then, like, literally the next day, I see an ad campaign, and I don't know if this was paid for by Kamala's campaign or some super PAC supporting Kamala or whatever it was, but it was legit a campaign. The commercial was, hey, you don't have to tell anybody who you're voting for. You can vote for whoever you want when you get in there. And it was like a legit, like, just like central casting Trump supporter, like old fat white guy, right? And the woman goes in and she decides, they show her and she votes for Kamala. And the guy's like, everything's okay, right? Like, kind of being a little bit much. And she's like, yep, everything is great. And it was this whole thing of like, there's all these husbands is expecting their wives to vote the same way that they are. But it was like, hey, you can vote for whoever you want to, which I thought was a pretty brilliant campaign if you're trying to usurp, that vote or that controlling relationship and, steal a couple of votes. Robin goes, why would women care about their own bodies? So weird. Debbie says, pretty weak-minded women, if you ask me. See, but here's the thing, Deb. The former first lady disagrees with Donald Trump on this. Melania has come out and it's in her book. She disagrees, and, so if Melania can disagree, certainly other women who are married to conservative, or even if they're conservative themselves, or if they're just married to a conservative. It's an interesting concept. And I thought it was an interesting commercial to run to people, being like, you don't have to vote that way. You can keep it quiet, which I also do love, because I don't think it's anybody's business who you vote for, including your spouse. I don't think it's, I make that joke that my dad would never tell me who he voted. Like, I'd be like 6, like, Dad, who'd you vote for? And he says, mind your business. It's a joke, but it's based in a lot of truth. Like, that guy never told me who he voted for. I don't even know if he told my mom, to be honest with you. I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. But anyway, it's an interesting idea, and it got me wondering, like, you look at some of these conservative states, you look at some of these red states, you look at some of these battleground states, and I wonder, I have no evidence of this. I'm just thinking out loud. I wonder if some women are going to go in there acting like they were voting for Trump the whole time. And they're going to pull the lever for Kamala. And listen, I'm sure it's that way on the other side. I'm sure if people are in, like, I always would think about this for Hollywood too, right? Hollywood, it's like, if you're an actor or a musician or whatever, and you're in show business, it's like there's a lot of pressure there to be a liberal and, be progressive and all that. I'm sure there's people that didn't feel, or that pretended to be one way for their on-air job, and then they go and vote another way. I'm sure that happens too. I just think that this is a pretty unique situation, because you do have Roe v. Wade, right? You do have women's rights on the table at this election. I asked often early on, conservative women, you're being told what to do with your body. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel like you want to vote for the people that put that into place? There's not a single restriction out there on men and our reproductive systems, but there is on yours. Does that make you want to vote for the party responsible for that? And for the most part, people stuck to their guns. They said it didn't bother them, whatever the case is. Everybody has their own right to feel the way they feel. I know I wouldn't be too happy with that. If they passed a law against, Islander fans, I'd be pretty fucking pissed off, because we get tortured enough without having to worry about any legislation against us. You know what I'm saying? Can't win a goddamn game in fucking regulation. Anyway, just last look at the battleground states, because I always feel like it's important to point that out. Trump has a lead in most of these, and some of them they're just way too close to even call it a lead. Again, 3 points is usually the margin of error. A lot of these are within the margin of error. In Georgia, Trump leads by 2.4 percentage points. North Carolina, Trump's got a lead of 1.8 Trump lead. In Pennsylvania as of right now. Michigan is plus 0.4 in Harris's column. Harris has Wisconsin by plus 0.2. Arizona is Trump by 2.5, 2.5. Harris has, I don't know why Minnesota is listed as a battleground state on this list, but Harris is up 4.8. Trump is up in Ohio, again, another state that I don't think is really in the battleground mix this time around. Has been a battleground state, and not this time. 6.9% for Trump. Trump's up in Nevada, 0.5. Texas, he's up 7.2. Again, Texas is a like that's a non-realistic dream. You know, that's a non-realistic dream. And say error again. Error? Do I say error funny? Error? Error? Now it feels like I say that funny. My ass is up 6.9%. What does that mean? Because I feel like my ass is 6.9% bigger since the beginning of this year because I can't get off the fucking Doritos and the Oreos. But is that what you were saying, Bird? Is that what you mean by that? Error. Brewery. I can't say brewery either. Islander towels for the table. Could you imagine if they outlawed Islander towels ever? I just spent $400 on one, or however much I fucking spent. Drawer. Yeah, drawer, I can't say. Yeah, let's hear it for everybody whose ass is up 6.9%. Here's the thing. You're not alone, okay? I'm going to start a group. I'm definitely going to start a group. Harris has New Mexico by 7.7%. And Harris is up in Virginia, 5.8. So that's the latest in the battleground states. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is gut feeling. I think Donald Trump is in trouble because I think Wisconsin and Michigan, although she has 0.4 and 0.2, which is not a strong enough lead, I do think that's going to break for her. And I think if those two do, then this election comes strictly down to Pennsylvania. And I think that the Pennsylvania is going to be the ball game. You know, right now, Trump is up 0.8 in Pennsylvania. A lot of people are saying there's, unreported Democrats. There's lots of new voters in Pennsylvania. Those tend to break Democrat. So, that could be a problem for him. Like I said, we could wind up seeing one of these nights where if polling has this, and it could go either way. This could happen for Trump. I have a gut feeling it'll break for Harris. And it could be one of those situations where you got a 330 versus 2 whatever in the Electoral College. It could run away that way. It could also be, 270 to 269. It could break that way too. But there's 20 electoral votes in Pennsylvania. It's just far too much. The whole election, just the same way Bush Gore fell down to Florida, it'll be Pennsylvania on this one. We did the story the other day. Maricopa County said they could take 3 weeks. I don't think it's going to matter because I think you can give Arizona to Trump and it's still not going to make a difference if she wins Pennsylvania and those other two, like I said. So, look, Mountaintops thinks women will cast their silent vote. So there you go. It's something that I had been asking the question of conservative women, how they felt since Roe v. Wade was overturned, right? And what impact that was going to have the election. And that was a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point now. So I had been pondering this question for the longest time, but I never thought to put it in that context of maybe they're just not saying anything and they're going to go in and they're going to vote the way they feel without anybody knowing, up to and including their husband or partner or whatever. It's an interesting idea and one that I think is definitely plausible and could absolutely happen. Deb says, you too with the Doritos? Dude, I can't even. I was doing so good with the Halloween candy and then I had a Twix bar before the show. All right, last topic. Put it in the comments. Put it in the live chat. Put it in the comments. What's your go-to Halloween candy? I always want to know this. Halloween candy, not candy. Because if I had to go get a candy bar, I had to get something for myself, it would be a Take 5 bar. I think that's the best. It's got the pretzel in there. It's got the caramel. It's got the nougat. You need nougat. It's chocolate covered. It's delicious. But they don't often put the Take 5 in the Halloween, candy bowls. That's usually the basics. Your Snickers, your Twix, your Three Musketeers, those kinds of things. Hershey bars, the crackles. I like a good crackle. I never eat a crackle ever, except for Halloween. I come across when I go, I'm gonna have a crackle. Have some Rice Krispie treat in a chocolate for some fucking reason. Oh, fucking Reese's peanut butter cup. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like it tastes differently when it's the wider, flat version versus the shorter cup version, the shorter, taller cup version? Because I feel like those taste different. I like the wider, shorter version better than the little bite-sized ones, I mean, look at me. I've obviously never turned down a Reese's peanut butter cup that I've come across. Obviously, I'm not, beggars can't be choosers. But if you put two of them in front of me, I'm going for that thinner, wider one. Deb, if you love Reese's peanut butter cups, Justin's peanut butter cups. Try one of those. The dark chocolate one. Holy shit, it's amazing. The peanut butter is even smoother than the Reese's peanut butter. Although I'd said that to some Reese's fan once, and they threw it back in my face. They're like, I went and tried that Justin's, and you suck. There's nothing that beats peanut butter cups. So you might not like it, but that's my thought on it. Reese's or Snickers. Again, I don't often get a Snickers. I love the little bite-sized fun. Whoever named those things fun size, boy, were they right. Because when you look at your little table next to you and you've got like 60 of those little wrappers, you're like, I did have fun. This was a fun time. We are always running from the thrill of it. We're an hour and 11 minutes into the show. I still don't know what fucking song I've been singing the whole time. Mountaintop says Skittles. Okay. Controversial take. I love a Skittles bag. I fucking love a tropical Skittles bag. I don't know what it is. When we turn that little dial over from regular to tropical Skittles, now it's a party. If I go to a house and they go, can I get you something, a drink? Would you like some tropical Skittles? I go, am I in the fucking Queen's Castle? Where did I walk into? Are you Bruce? Is this Wayne Manor? What is happening? There's more class than I deserve here. You got tropical Skittles just lying about to offer to guests? This is unbelievable. I don't eat candy. I prefer chips. I'll allow it. I'll allow it, Fly and Y, but I'm watching you. Okay? Be careful. I don't know how much longer this episode is going to go for, but just you're skirting that line. True, people do hand out the chips at the Halloween time. It's technically not a candy. It is a snack, though, so it's okay. I'll tell you who I don't really love is the pretzel people. I don't think I need a pretzel on Halloween. Let's stir it up a little bit. Let's make it happen. We could all get a pretzel at any time, anywhere. That's not important. Hershey chocolate bar minis. See, there's a true chocolate addict. They're like, just give me the fucking chocolate. I don't want any of your bullshit nougat coming into I'm a pure chocolatist. I just need the fucking, just give me a Hershey bar, just melt it on my face and I'll lick it off. Robin, I don't know if you're being facetious here, but I like candy. I don't know why candy corns are getting such a bad rap these days. It's weird. It used to be so not cool to be a Republican. Now all of a sudden it's cool to be a Republican. It was always fine to have candy corn. Now all of a sudden candy corns are not okay. Are the cool Republicans getting rid of candy corns? Let's see. We have Albany's gummy bears. What's an Albany's gummy bear? Is that a gummy bear from Albany? What makes that special? Is it just more boring than a regular gummy from New York City? Let me know, Linderella. I need some clarification there. Tootsie Pops or Milky Way? There ain't nothing wrong with that list, Trista. You're on the ball. Debbie agrees with the wider cups. So does Mountaintops. Bigger cups all the way. I fucking love it. What is a Butterfinger? And why does it stay on my teeth for so long? But why do I still enjoy the whole process of it? I love it. I love it. What's chunks? Is that an Australian thing? Please clarify, Oceani. Snickers hurts my cavities. Oh, caramilk is pretty good. What are those, like Rolos? Are those the same thing as like a Rolo? Nerds are great. My kids love nerds. You know what I love about the nerds? When they started coming in, did they always come in the two flavors together? Or was that I feel like that was like a new thing at some point, like 30 years ago. I love both of those. Goo Goo clusters, anyone? Neil, please clarify. What's a Goo Goo cluster? P.S. Skittles are gluten-free, nut-free. Tropical havens without allergies? I don't know what that means. Oh, if somebody gave me a box of raisins, I would just throw it right back in their face. Feel like you ruined my Halloween, you piece of shit. I showed the Albanese gummy bears on last year's 420 show. Well, that explains why I don't remember. Just better gummy bears. Yeah, there is such a thing as good gummy bears. I want to say Jolly Rancher makes like a gummy bear now or something. It's like really good. You know what I like too? Gummy savers, like the lifesavers that are gummies. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, caramel is similar to a Rolo. Thanks for clarifying. This fucking dentist created Butterfingers. Big dentist? You think big dentistry created the Butterfinger? I like that. That's a conspiracy theory I could float without any truth behind it. Because it just feels right. It just feels right. 420 gummy bears. Word up. Word up. Oh, little crunchy bars. What was it called again? Chunks. That's good. I feel like Australians are better at naming things than we are, don't you think? Now I don't know why I have Gilligan's Island in my head. This is really taking a bizarre turn. This is taking a strange ass turn. I know the closing arguments for both the candidates were like this weekend and everything, but what do you think they're going to do for Halloween? Think they're dressing up? I mean, Trump kind of did today with his whole, garbage trunk get up. Think we're going to get like some personalities and some friggin' whatchamacallit? Some costumes from the candidates. Oh, come on. The thing's not working now. I don't even. Okay. This is the backup. This is the backup one. All right. Anywho, listen. Check the kids' candy for the bad things. Okay. The apples and the razor blades and the whole 9 yards, even though I think most of that wasn't really true. Have a wonderful Halloween. Stay safe out there. Give the kids candy. Don't embarrass them. Don't be like my house. In my house, we gave everybody chicken cutlets, okay, and mozzarella sticks. Yeah, it was surprising at first, but then, it gets weird just sitting out there all day long. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Have a great Halloween. We're with you Friday. Frankie C's here. Aaron's got a game. We'll have a big fun episode for everybody. We're getting closer to that election being over. Cannot wait. Thanks, everybody. Had a great time. I'll see you on the next one.
Show me potato salad.